Show us light for now. Show us sight for where we can go. In the game with no guiding light. You know where is to go. Don't just follow. We can try, 'cause we're living now. We lost so many sorrows, but we can swallow. Gonna be our this time.
So I think it's about time we jump into something that isn't a fighting game for once. Yep, Mortal Kombat 11 has come out as of the time I recorded this, but this time the topic of the day is Overwatch. Say whatever you will about this game being dead or whatever, because I honestly don't give a shit. As far as competitive shooters go, I never quite got into them. I wanted to like Team Fortress 2, but I just couldn't get into it myself. And besides, I think that every content creator and their dick making a video about this game is more than enough to drive most men mad, and I straight up refuse to play the likes of Fortnite and Apex Legends, so yeah, forget about that. Besides, I think that Overwatch is more worth talking about, seeing as it's my new favorite first-person shooter and has more than enough to talk about with its characters. You thought that TF2's cast of 9 was nice? This game, least of right now, has 30 characters and counting. Now that's some variety right there if I've ever seen any. So you already know how this plays out, don't you? This is my top 12 favorite Overwatch heroes. Yes, top 12, because there's quite a few characters in this game that I really want to talk about, and I just couldn't bear to leave some of them off the list. So top 12 it is, because consistency. First of all, this is my personal opinion, obviously, so try to remember that for when you don't see Tracer on the list and get mad at me for having opinions. I'll mostly be ranking these characters based on their playstyle and my overall enjoyment of the character in question. This has more to do with their personal playstyles and how their inclusion can make or break a team. And this is a game that gets a lot of patches and tweaks over time, so there are most likely going to be some changes that change my mind over time, or maybe another character gets added down the road. So for the sake of confusion, I will be basing my opinions off of this version of the game, meaning that Baptiste is the latest character to get added to the game. So that'll tell you when this video was made if you're watching this when Echo finally gets added. And so now that we got that out of the way, let's do this. So I mentioned at the start of the video that there were some characters that I didn't want to leave off the list, and that's why this is a top 12 as opposed to a top 10. And this character is on equal terms with the honorable mentions based on how much I like them. So after much deliberation, I picked Sombra. So it's inevitable that I'm going to compare some of the characters on this list to the classes from Team Fortress 2, since that game was one of the most popular co-op shooters around, and it's very clear that Blizzard took some inspiration from Valve's cast of weirdos. Tracer is obviously the scout, Bastion is robo-heavy without the thick Russian accent, and Torbjorn is basically the engineer. So that must make Sombra the spy. Yeah, this isn't going to be the last time you hear about the TF2 comparisons, I can tell you that much, even though Reaper did the spy thing first, sort of. Anyways, Sombra isn't really the most powerful offense hero, but she is such a vital team player that I have no clue why people say that she sucks. I mean, maybe she did suck when she first came out, but I didn't start playing this game until April 2018, so I honestly wouldn't know. Unlike any other offense hero, Sombra has the unique ability to hack any character within a certain distance from her, and when an enemy is hacked, all of their abilities are completely locked off for a few seconds, giving Sombra enough time to kill off an enemy, or by crippling a key member of your opponent's team long enough for you to shift tides in your team's favor. Have a Bastion that's getting too big for his britches? Hack him and put him in his place. Tired of Reinhardt's shield or Genji's deflect? Just hack them and watch as they flail uselessly like the noobs that they are. And you can also help your teammates by hacking random health packs, which speed up their respawn and prevent opponents from using them for a good minute or two. But she wouldn't be able to do all this without the ability to turn invisible and perform her best Sonic the Hedgehog imitation, and her beacons to let her teleport on command. So I see where the real booping goes. Her ultimate has a giant AoE that hacks every single enemy in the vicinity, and this ability alone can win your team the game easily, but it does require good synergy with your team to pull it off effectively. And I'm not gonna lie, she has one of my favorite designs in the entire game. I love the techno vibe that she has going on, and the blue and purple motif helps out tremendously. But I do think that her backstory is about as basic as her character, and I really don't play her much unless I feel like it, which isn't very often, as you'll see why later down the list. But Sombra is still a very fun character for being the most annoying pain in the ass possible. You may say that she sucks, but just play a game with a competent Sombra player and see if you can say that again. You know, having an opinion can be a dangerous thing. Some have the power to change people for the better, but some can cause outrage, and some have even started wars. And some opinions are the equivalent of destroying people's lives and friendships forever. And sometimes we have to ask, is it worth it? Is this option worth all the potential anger and hate in the comment section? Is it worth the risk? Yeah, it totally is. Oh, the internet's gonna fucking kill me for this. Have you ever had that one character in the game you just couldn't stand the sight of? Well, this game has several. For me, that character is Soldier76, because anybody playing him on a daily basis is a piece of shit. But the general consensus is that Bastion is the worst character in the game and needs to be nerfed. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Well, sure, he's annoying, but he isn't broken. But why do people think this? Well, for those of you who haven't disliked the video and left screaming in anger, I'll go ahead and tell you. Whenever he isn't making people cry or go, "Duh," at his animated short, he's making them scream in agony for when they're pumped full of lead from a Bastion that's camping behind a corner, you basic bitch. When he isn't making you like the victory pose where Ganymede is sitting in the barrel of his cannon. Look at him, he's so cute. He's infuriating his opponents by camping behind a Reinhardt shield while sitting on a payload. Nerf Bastion! I don't think that any character in any of these types of games has ever garnered nearly as much hate as Bastion. And I absolutely love it. He's not as OP as you people seem to think. His turret form has some of the best DPS in the game, but he can't move as a result. He can heal himself, but he has no special protection, hence why he's only really annoying when paired up with someone like Reinhardt or, God forbid, Orisa. I really like using him, but even the best Bastion players have to be careful since he has more counters than you realize. Genji's Deflect can destroy him if you aren't careful, Mei's Ice Wall can elevate him out of his comfort zone, Diva's ultimate can one-shot him, Hot Sauce's ultimate can one-shot him, Junkrat can annoy the fuck out of him by placing remote mines and also one-shot him with his ultimate. And need I bring up Sombra again? And after watching that short, how could you say that he's hateable? Bastion is a good boy. Unlike Soldier. I really like using him to wreck some of my opponents after having a bad day at work or something, and personally, I just really like the mind games. Everyone is gonna try to murder your bitch ass the second they spot you, but if you run and pick another spot to hide, then nobody knows where to look. And the moving platforms and stages like Route 66 never fail to plaster an evil grin on my face. And I don't even have lips, so you know I'm being serious when I say that. All I'm saying is that you guys really need to chill out about Bastion, because it could have been way worse. For example, did you know that Bastion was originally gonna have a permanent shield in front of him in concept? Yeah, you'd have a real reason to complain if that were the case. You know, Reinhardt is super amazing, but he's just too slow. You know what this game might need? A faster Reinhardt with more utility and the most infuriating shield bash the world has ever known that will make all the Reaper and Genji mains cry like little bitches. That'll make everybody scream with excitement, right? Right? Yep, I'm that kind of guy, and I refuse to apologize for it. Brigitte, or as I will refer to her as Bridget for the rest of the video because the pronunciation is fucking stupid, fight me, is one of the latest support heroes to be added to Overwatch, and is probably one of the most hated characters to grace the character board. Either you love how adorable she is, or you hate fighting her with every fiber of your being. Personally, I didn't like her that much to begin with. I thought she was just a bit too niche and not that interesting, and she was one of my least favorite characters to go up against. But just like most characters in the game, she grew on me. She's the only support character in the game to mostly rely on close quarter combat, but if she's a healer with nothing but armor packs, then how the fuck does she heal her allies? Well, that's what her chain flail is for. Since she's really only going to be doing one of two things, the only way that she can heal her allies is by attacking, which causes her to heal her allies with her passive that heals any teammate within a certain distance of her. Because if she had to rely solely on armor packs to heal her allies, then she'd easily be the worst healer in the game. So the main way to deal with her is to just stay as far away from her as possible, right? Not that simple. That shield bash gives her enough protection to close the gap on certain offensive heroes and smack them with her shield. Her shield bash allows her to stun just about any character that she hits. It really doesn't do a whole lot of damage since it got nerfed not too long ago, but it can still cancel ultimates. Seriously, that shield bash is just a little too good. I love being an absolute jerk with this character. Smacking that pesky Widowmaker from a good distance with my chain flail, or ruining a Roadhog's day by bashing them with my shield. Her ultimate also stands as being a slightly better sound barrier. Instead of a fuck ton of health, it gives everybody a speed boost and some temporary shields. Now, I may love playing as her, but I feel that her backstory kinda kills her character a little bit. And by a little bit, her backstory, it fucking sucks. Bridget is the daughter of Torbjorn and is also Reinhardt's goddaughter. And she got sick of waiting after a battle to patch everyone's wounds up and decided to just do it in the battlefield. That's a pretty lazy excuse to throw her onto the battlefield, but I digress. I'm just glad that I can be a basic bitch in 1v1s with this lovely lass, even if most of her alternate skins are in fact terrible. Oh, she's so freaking cute! Mei is best Overwatch girl. Fight me. And that's all I'm willing to say. Next entry. So, in all seriousness, are you guys getting sick of this joke yet? Mei may be best Overwatch girl, but she ain't my personal waifu, because this samurai for hire is already taken. Mei is not only swole and adorable, but she probably has one of the most depressing backstories in the game. Now, I know I wasn't going to talk about backstories in this video, but I just gotta talk about this. Mei went to Antarctica with a group of researchers, and they all thought that it was a great idea to fall asleep in cryonetic storage for over a few years, only for her to find out that every one of her fellow researchers' life supports failed and had all died while they were in cryosleep. Oh my god, this poor girl needs a hug! And if anybody dares to call her a fat cow one more time, I'm gonna fucking kill him! Mei's weapon of choice is a gun filled with liquid nitrogen, ice, and if you know me well enough, then seeing her here was not a surprise. And she's apparently a 3-star character, which basically means the more stars a character has, the more difficult they are to play as. Well, I'm gonna have to call bullshit on that one. You can literally just walk up, freeze anybody in their tracks, then headshot them to death with icicles. So fuck that 3-star noise, I'm a solo-less enemy team, easy peasy, yeah! Well, fuck, that didn't work. So, Mei isn't a 3-star character for nothing. Her concept at first would say that she's good for 1v1 fights, but trying to solo an enemy team? Yeah, don't even think about it. But at least she has more than just the ice beam and icicles. With the simple press of a button, she can conjure up an ice wall that can either block an enemy out or force them out of their comfort zone. Also, might I add how satisfying it is to trap an enemy in the same room as Mei and leaving them helpless against her? Because if you pull that off regularly, then you're a sadistic bastard. Now, I mentioned that she's a good character in 1v1s. That's because she's also one of the most infuriating characters to fight in 1v1s. She's not the most popular character in casual games from what I've seen, but when she is on an enemy team, then you better pray that that person using her is on cocaine or something. And did I mention that she can encase herself in unbreakable ice and heal for a few seconds? Which begs the question, if your friends all died and while in cryosleep, then why would you even bother wanting to put yourself in that situation, Mei? I'd think that seeing a bag of ice at a Walmart would give you PTSD. And during last year's Christmas event, they even had 2 minigames surrounding Mei exclusively that were amazingly fun. I sure do hope that they bring this back next year. So at the end of the day, while Mei isn't topping the tiers like some other characters, she's one of the most satisfying if you can use her effectively. And she's also one of the cutest cinnamon buns of all time. And for that, we say thank you, Blizzard. Also, seriously guys, stop calling her fat. Have you even seen this character's design? Seriously, stop it. If you didn't already hate me for putting Bastion on this list, and then immediately falling with Bridget and then Mei, then you're gonna want to kill me after this next character. It's the thick pancake everyone loves and hates, Roadhog. Honestly, if you didn't see this coming, then you might need to check your local brain surgeons. Being the first tank on this list doesn't give me a good way to describe how a tank works. Tanks are obviously damage sponges that soak up damage for their team, and they are some of the most important players out there for their defense. Roadhog on the other hand says nope to all that and goes for a more offensive approach. Reinhardt has a hammer and a big ass shield, Roadhog has a shotgun and a chain hook. Pharah is one of the most annoying piece of shit characters in the game, and Roadhog makes her his bitch. Reaper has dual shotguns, and Roadhog just gets wrecked by Reaper, so never mind. The main appeal for Roadhog is that Roadhog can throw his chain hook at a target and pull them up to the barrel end of your scrap gun and one-shot the very squishy characters. Or at least heavily dent most of them. True, you do have to have a good aim to pull them in, and he's pretty easy to kill out in the open. So you have to be sneaky with Roadhog and pick off unsuspecting characters while they aren't paying attention. Roadhog is also a big target, and since he has no ways of defending himself or other teammates, but despite that, he's incredibly hard to kill in 1v1s, considering that he has one of the highest base health stats in the game, and his take a breather ability can heal 400 of his health back with the press of a button. So unless he's stupid enough to go up against a Reaper, or if he tries to solo, then good luck trying to kill him. Especially if he has a pocket mercy keeping his health up to snuff 24/7. and since his playstyle is super easy to pick up and play, he's probably the best tank in the game for beginners. My only problem with Roadhog is his ultimate. His shotgun gains a rapid fire spread shot that lasts for a few seconds, damaging and knocking back enemies with a rapid force. It's admittedly pretty hilarious pushing some characters off the map, but it's a bitch and a half to control your aim while using it. But despite that, Roadhog is the actual definition of a power fantasy. He has the power and bulk to take on most characters, and his dummy thick physique makes him one of the toughest characters to take on 1v1. And if he got nerfed into the ground from his launch status to where he is now, and yet he's still one of the scariest characters in the game, then that speaks volumes of his major impact. And no, I'm not saying that because he's a thick boy. So, who's up for a sniper on this list? And even more controversial opinions. I'm not gonna lie when I say that snipers are just a little too prevalent in Overwatch right now, considering that we did just get a new sniper at the end of the previous year, bringing us a grand total of 4 snipers in the game so far. And while I do understand that they can really make or break a team, I'm just not that into them personally, mainly because I'm kind of a shit aim when it comes to playing them. There's Widowmaker, which is the best sniper for her immediate killing power, but she has one of the most boring playstyles in the game. Plus, I just do not like her as a character. Ana is a fantastic support with one of the best ultimates in the game, but she kind of defeats the purpose of what a fucking sniper is supposed to do. So that leaves me with Hanzo, who has the best mobility of any sniper and is one of the best tank killers, and the Richie Bitchy Cow Lady that has Hanzo's positives but is objectively worse in nearly every way. And when I have these two to pick, I pick the weaker one. My, I'm pretty sure that all the fans are going to be criticizing me for picking Ashe over Hanzo and Widowmaker, considering that Ashe is simultaneously the best and worst sniper in the game. Honestly, if Bastion and Bridget being on here didn't already say it, then I'll just say now that I could really give less of a fuck when it comes to viability. The main reason I picked Ashe over Hanzo is because I just have loads more fun with Ashe. She may be miles away from winning best Overwatch girl in my opinion. She manages to take that attitude of hers and apply it to her playstyle. She's the only proper sniper in the game that cannot headshot squishy characters like how Hanzo and Widow can, even when she's in scope mode. Honestly, I'm not too miffed about that, because 1, having 3 snipers that can one-shot anybody with headshots would have killed the game's player base faster than Anthem, so at least Blizzard can hold back sometimes. And 2, that doesn't really matter much since she can fire off faster than either of those characters can, and her DPS stays more consistent as a result. But what I like so much about her is her harassment capabilities. She has the aforementioned range, but she can throw a stick of dynamite at her opponents and cause burn damage. Now, you could say the same about Widowmaker's poison mines, but you'd be surprised at how many players die from the burn damage. She also has a shotgun that's useful for pushing foes back and getting her to other platforms that most characters can't get to. But, and I know that most of you were waiting for this part, her greatest niche and the main reason you'd want to use her is Bob. Ashe's ultimate sends out the big Obnick bastard, who is essentially the fabled 7th party member for your team. The big Oreo Bungus runs forward in a straight line and fucking uppercuts any enemy players in his way and pelts them full of bullets. And he can take hits that most tanks in the game wish they could take, with a whopping 1200 health. And not only is the bulbous omnidirectional boy really dangerous, he can essentially hold the point long enough for you to make a comeback and wreck the enemy team while the bionic ogre Bastiodon soaks up enemy fire. Now truth be told, I was originally going to put her way higher on the list than I originally intended, but that's not because I got bored with her after she got released, far from it, but I just found myself growing more attached to the next few characters over time. Ashe may be the worst sniper in the game with a few small niches, but she at least manages to be one of the faster paced characters in terms of her playstyle, and the fact that nearly everybody still hates playing against her just speaks volumes of how good she can be. Just, please Blizzard, no more snipers. I don't think my sanity can take it. So we've gone through just about every type of class in the game, but it's about time we got ourselves another support hero. And this time it's a support hero that has a backstory. An interesting backstory. You all know about the classic quote, people often ask themselves on whether or not they can, but they never ask themselves whether or not they should. And Moira might as well be a perfect example of that. Moira is a scientist that has heavily experimented on human medicines and technologies, given that she has a great interest in human biology. But considering that her methods may or may not have gone to the extremes more than a few times, she joined with Blackwatch in order to continue her research. She's not necessarily an evil person despite the fact that she's with Blackwatch, a renegade group, She could really care less on who she sides with, just as long as she can continue her research scot-free. So fun fact, when I first started playing the game, Moira was the very first character I ever played in a serious match, and unsurprisingly, I majorly sucked at using her and ended up losing. I mean, I don't know what I was expecting, but at least I found myself a healer that I could easily pick up and enjoy. Moira is a very mixed support with her utility and is one of the few that can actually fight. But unless you're trying to be an absolute moron, or if you're going for a self-imposed challenge, then you really don't want to play Moira offensively. Not just because you should probably pick another character if you want to play offensive, but because you'd be an absolute idiot if you were the only healer on your team and you didn't do anything to heal your allies. You could use the Dark Biotic Orbs for some mad DPS, but where Moira's healing excels is with the peak-colored bouncy orb that bounces around more than the super bouncy fun balls from Mega Man 11. I guess Tiggers can't do it best anymore. You have to use the Biotic Orbs wisely, since using one orb prevents you from using either until your cooldown reaches 0. So while she isn't a 3-star healer by any means like Zenyatta, using her recklessly can lead to you and your team getting wrecked. And thanks to the YouTube channel Your Overwatch, it made me realize just how effective Moira can be, and it helped me support my team in ways that some supports really can't. She has a ton of healing potential for the whole team and can play offensively extremely well when paired up with some tanks like Roadhog and D.Va. And I feel that description fits her flawlessly. She can do kind of well as a support for the whole team by herself, but she truly excels when it comes to being a close partner with certain characters. I mean, teamwork is the name of the game, and I can definitely say few characters can fulfill that role better than Moira. So while she does require a bit of care to use at her highest potential, she can be one of the most enjoyable if you're in the right headspace. So yeah, thumbs up from me, Moira. Good job. And the award for the most obvious pick for an Overwatch countdown goes to... So here's a fun drinking game that you all can play with your friends at home. So for this game, you need to binge watch every top 10 Overwatch Heroes countdown you can find, and then take a shot for every list that has D.Va. Go ahead, I'll wait. My god, what have I done? Nah, joking aside, there may not exist a single Overwatch fan in the world that doesn't like D.Va. And I don't mean the fact that she's everybody's waifu, except mine that is. D.Va is the first tank on the list that acts more like a proper tank than Roadhog. But if we're talking about how some characters are great at their specific roles, then tanks are probably the most one-note characters in the game. Wrecking Ball has excellent harassment with his speed, and he has really good zone control with his ultimate. Reinhardt has the undisputed best defense power in the game. Roadhog, as I said before, is one of the deadliest characters in 1v1 fights, and Zarya does things, I guess. But the main thing that D.Va has over any other tank in the game is her incredible versatility. Oh, and I guess because she's a super cute gamer chick, she has that going for her too, I suppose. D.Va's main form of offense is with her fusion cannons that don't really do that much damage from a distance, but they can heavily dent most characters up close when combined with her rapid-fire missiles. So that's great, but tanks have the trait of being slow. Well, D.Va slaps a middle finger to that bullshit and has a thruster ability that can allow her to get to where she needs to go very quickly. So she's got the offense and the speed down, but she even has her defense matrix. The defense matrix allows her to easily eliminate projectiles for a couple seconds, which is extremely useful for protecting your teammates from incoming assaults like Widowmakers, or for helping your opponent close the gap without a scratch. And need I mention that everything that I just listed that she can do right here is in her mech form alone. Whenever her mech is destroyed by battle or by using her ultimate, she can press the eject button and then take the DPS into her own hands. But while her DPS is objectively higher than her mech's fusion cannons, you really don't want to be out of your mech most of the time, except for some dumb self-imposed challenge. Seriously, what is with the self-imposed challenges? And I don't really think I can add anything when it comes to her ultimate being one of the strongest in the game. But yeah, it's one of the strongest ultimates in the game. Those play the games don't lie. Really, the only other tank that comes close to matching D.Va in terms of her versatility is Orisa, but she has the unfortunate trait of being painfully slow and having the worst reload speed in the game. So D.Va may not excel at any one trait, but at the end of the day, D.Va is a fantastic jack of all trades that can fit on any team comp without any drawbacks. She's kind of like Soldier 76 in that regard, but the difference is that I'd rather ask D.Va out instead. The only thing she can't do is heal people. If she could, then she'd easily be the best character in the game. So if you really want to feel like a badass, then you should give D.Va a try. Sorry, D.Va. As amazing as you are, I just couldn't say no to my main tank. Out of all the characters on this list, Winston was one of the few characters that I fucking hated when I first played him. I thought he was one of the most bottom-of-the-barrel bullshit characters in the entire game. I thought he had excellent mobility, but his damage output was fucking garbage. But you know, for some reason, I really wanted to get good with him. Time and time again, I still ended up getting my ass kicked, but you know, after a while, Winston immediately clicked with me and became my favorite tank in the game. He doesn't always play by the rules, but he's a closer interpretation of a tank than fucking Roadhog. He has the bubble shield, but it's an absolute disgrace since it can't take a lot of hits before dissipating. Wow, that's a pretty shitty shield. What the fuck is with this bad DPS? He doesn't have nearly as good health. He can't take hits, lol, is what I thought when I first picked him up. But then you realize that that shield isn't really for defending your allies. I mean, you can do that, but if that's your intended use for it, then you're playing him absolutely wrong, you fucking buffoon. It's not for protecting allies, it's for protecting you. His Tesla cannon is actually really strong at whittling down opponents' health bars fairly quickly. So basically, if you jump in front of an offense hero, oh wait, I'm sorry Overwatch, damage hero, then you can plop that barrier in between the two of you and pick off your opponent's teammates fairly quickly, and then nope the fuck out of there with your super jump. Since the barrier is only so strong and it lasts long enough for you to make the kill, the enemy can't do much as you fry them one by one with your sick DPS. Healers can't do much. Offensive heroes die super quickly. That's what the trailer with Winston and Reaper was trying to convey. It's actually giving you tips on how to play the character. Winston is an assassin for assassins. Winston is just amazingly fun with how versatile his limited move pool really is. You know, I just realized that my favorite tanks are tanks that tend to break the mold on the meaning, so that's fun trivia, I guess. And his ultimate makes him even more of a dangerous threat. Primal Rage sacrifices being able to use the Tesla cannon and berries in exchange for his fists, his jumping cooldown being heavily reduced, and having one of the highest base health stats in the game. So wanna get rid of Winston in Rage mode? Good friggin' luck. So while he may sound like absolute bullshit garbage at first, he is easily one of the most terrifying and threatening tanks in the game. Whether it be his utility or his god tier tastes and snacks, he is one science guy that you don't want to underestimate. Just don't make any banana jokes around him, he doesn't like that very much. And now we arrive at the top 3 characters of this video. The other characters on this list are characters that I'll pick up and have a fun time playing them anytime, unless there's just a Symmetra on the enemy team, in which case I'll just tear my own hair out. But nothing in this game gives me more joy than playing as these next 3 characters. Mei and Bastion may be good defense heroes, yes I'm still calling them that because damage is fucking stupid, but Junkrat is one character that I fell in love with right away. So, did you like the Demo Man from Team Fortress 2? I mean, that might be the best time-saving question of the video, but this entry will be kind of shit if I didn't know the fake out like last time, so Junkrat has... Oh my fucking lord. So Junkrat has a very special reputation amongst the fanbase. Besides being the most insane piece of shit in the roster, Junkrat, actually that describes it quite nicely. Junkrat is a piece of shit. He has a grenade launcher, and while his grenades don't travel super far, they have the ability to bounce off of walls, giving them extreme unpredictability. And if you remember Demo Man's ability to launch himself 50 feet into the air with his sticker grenades, then you probably see where the TF2 inspiration is at its strongest. He's pretty slow on his own, but his remote mines give him some of the best air mobility in the game. He also has bear traps, and they kind of suck. That's not going to stop me from using them. Eat it, bitch! And let's not forget about the cream of the bullshit, his Riptire. Think Diva's ultimate if it was a lot easier to stop. It can one-shot most characters in the game easy peasy, but his Riptire is crazy loud and prone to getting destroyed. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to be getting some salty comments in the chat for getting the 7th play of the game in a row. Now, at the beginning of the video, I said that Sombra was the most annoying pain in the ass character in the game, but that would have to go double for Junkrat. He may not be the most annoying character in the game by my estimation, but if you force me to pick the most annoying character, I pick out Symmetra because she made me drop Genji. Fuck you, Symmetra. And nor is he the best character in the game, but if you like being annoying and having death threats thrown your way, then you pick Bastion instead. But hey, at least he's the funniest character in the game. Just look at that fucker dance. I can't even. So I bet that a lot of you are surprised that Tracer made the list despite what I said at the beginning of the video. And I bet most of you expected me to pick someone like Reaper or Genji instead, right? Well, I'm not so predictable now, am I, bitches? Well, not only is Tracer totes adorbs and full of personality, along with dad ass, her playstyle makes her one of the most...
Okay, you know what? This joke has run on long enough, so I'm just gonna follow my original plan and just put Reaper on here instead. Main protagonist sucks.
So if my previous countdowns didn't spell it out for you, then I'll say that I am, in fact, a Hot Topic shopping piece of shit. I mean, just go watch some of my other countdowns, and my entries for the top 3 will spell it out quite nicely. And why should I stop now? Even back when the game first got announced and that first cinematic trailer dropped, Reaper immediately caught my attention with his edgy design and his abilities. So in case you haven't heard of Overwatch before, then what kind of rock have you been living under the past few years? Reaper is widely known as the edgiest edgelord to cut his edgy edge personality on the edge. Shadow the Hedgehog, Ryuko Matoi, Noob Sibbit, V, their edginess is dog shit compared to the edge that this character brings out. Not only is his design evident enough, but he just acts like a cringy teenager that never quite got out of their My Chemical Romance phase. But at least his play for laughs at the end of the day, so it's not that big a deal. And the fact that his voice actor plays these characters is really funny to me. So while Reaper may be the edgiest edge boy ever, he certainly has the power to be braggadocious. First of all, does 1v1ing a guy with 2 shotguns sound like a smart idea? Well, given that he's one of the most terrifying characters in the game to go up against, then I'd say hell no. But his shotguns are what make Reaper scary to go up against. It's his self-healing passive. Back when the game first launched, Reaper had to collect souls from his victims in order to heal himself, but now he can just heal himself by attacking. Gee, and I thought Diva was dangerous. But because of his playstyle, his greatest weakness is his range. Because since any shotgun in any game that isn't named Doom has awful range, that makes Reaper easy food for snipers. And if there's a Pharah on the battlefield, then just forget about it. It's over. But, you see my friends, Reaper is a stealthy boy. He has a teleport that, as of this recording, has made him one of the most broken characters in the game. Granted, it does leave you open to snipers, but that's why you use it for stealth, you dum-dum. And if he ever finds himself in a pinch, then he can activate his Reaper Cloak, which gives him invincibility for a few seconds. His ultimate also stands as one of the most powerful ultimates in the game. Death Blossom fires off an insanely deadly AoE that just decimates health bars. Even if it is rather easy to break him out of it with Roadhog's Hook or Brigitte's Shield Bash, or just fucking killing him. I mean, Reaper fucking destroys literally every character in the game. Torbjorn, Symmetra, Tracer, McCree, Incompetent Widowmakers, Awful Hot Sauces, and even tanks. Characters that are supposed to soak up damage are fucking terrified of this dude. Because, once again, he destroys everybody. Except Pharah. I guess you could say that I'm a Hot Topic shopping piece of shit for life. Best insult I've ever received, if I may say so. I'll wear that name badge with pride. I don't like him nearly as much as everybody else, but I do think he's a pretty solid healer. Took a while for him to click with me, and he is my second favorite sniper in the game, if that means anything. But he didn't make the list simply because I just don't use him all that much. In all honesty, I fucking hate Orisa's design, but I did manage to try out in a few matches for her to click with me, and she's one of my favorite tanks now. Too bad that only happened when I started recording the lines, so honorable mention it is. Doesn't leave a very good first impression, but once you get that ball rolling, she's a monster. It only took me until just now in order for me to realize just how good she was. His ball physics are amazingly fun to mess around with, but I usually suck when using him in a serious match. This character was also really close to making the list too. Fun fact, Genji was my original main back when I first started playing, and he would have topped the list without question if I made the list about a year ago. But I don't really play him that much anymore simply because I'm so bad at using him, fuck you Symmetra, so honorable mention it is. Soldier 76. Fuck Soldier 76. So now we arrive at the number 1 spot, and this is supposed to be the part where I deconstruct my choices and say that my number 1 has all those qualities or something like that. Well, that's fucking dumb, and I'd be lying if I said that my number 1 had all those qualities. In fact, no character has all those qualities. But at the end of the day, this is the one character that I have had the most interest in, and is the one character in the game that has given off the most enjoyment for yours truly. For you see, in order to find your one true Overwatch main, you just gotta be at peace with yourself and have a zen-like mentality. For when you find peace within your heart and soul and harmonize with the universe perfectly, the answer becomes clear. That is seriously how I'm starting off this segment, and I'm not sorry. so I imagine this would come as quite the shock to most of you. In fact, I would have been surprised back when I was a Genji main that Zenyatta would have taken the #1 spot. I even thought I would dislike playing as him my first time with Overwatch, but oh boy was I wrong. When I picked him up, I fell in love right away. I never wanted to use another support hero ever again after using him. But, you know, I use other supports every now and then because I'm not that biased. So, why do I feel this way? Well, let's go ahead and find out. Zenyatta really isn't a character you'd find to be the most useful, at least at first glance, but given that he's one of the most difficult supports in the game to use, he is also one of the most rewarding to play as. His main mechanic revolves around the Orbs of Harmony and Discord. The Orb of Harmony can be latched onto any teammate, healing them for as long as they remain within Zen's point of view, and the Orb of Discord latches onto enemies and increases the amount of damage that they receive. Again, as long as they don't escape Zenyatta's line of sight for too long. And with proper use of the Orbs, he can competently top his allies off with some great healing and destroy just about every hero in the game. Snipers, unsuspecting assassins, he can even rip tanks to shreds like paper if used right. Which begs the question, why the heck does he even have such good DPS if he's a monk? Like, isn't he supposed to be a pacifist monk or something? Whatever, I'm thinking about this too much. And on top of that, his ultimate Transcendence stands as one of the best ultimates in the game. Transcendence gives every teammate 300 health per second while they remain within a few meters of him. Which, in other words, means that any teammate is borderline unkillable while they're near Zenyatta. But I did say borderline unkillable for a reason. And while this ultimate itself is amazing, it also perfectly represents what I look like when I listen to Love Live music. I regret nothing. Now, don't think that he's unstoppable by any means, because just like any other hero, he does have some glaring issues, such as being one of the slowest characters in the game, and he's also squishier than a wet sandwich. Well, most of his health is comprised of shields, so without them, he has the lowest base health in the game, so snipers be damned. So because of that, he's really only strong when he has a buddy to help keep him safe. But at the end of the day, that is perfectly fair balancing for an otherwise fantastic character. Really, Zenyatta is the definition of an all-around support hero. He's great for defensive and offensive support while remaining as the king of assists. And he stands as one of the most threatening support heroes in the game. And unlike Genji, I really don't see myself dropping him for whatever reason. Really, I could have put Reaper on the #1 spot since I do enjoy him enough to justify that decision, but Zenyatta is just the one that I have had the most fun with and had the least amount of frustration with since I started playing Overwatch. He's not just a great healer and support, but he's just a great hero in general. I'm the Awesome Yojimbo, and thank you guys so much for watching, and if you happen to like any character like Soldier 76 and Symmetra or characters I personally hate, then that's good on you. I'm personally happy for you, for we all must be at peace with one another. Unless you're a Pharah main, in which case I fucking hate your guts.